something feels off. And it's not just you, it's not just job hunting is harder now or the economy is weird. It's something much deeper than that, I think. Because right now, people are doing everything they were told that would work. And it's not working the same way anymore. It's, you follow the path, you put in the effort, you stay consistent, and instead of progress, all we get is silence. So eventually, a different question starts to arise. What if the system didn't break? What if it just changed and nobody told us? Most of us were given a blueprint and it was simple. It's just, go to school, work hard, get your degree or diploma, and find the job and build a stable life. And that path makes a lot of sense. It worked for a very long time. Obviously, it felt reliable. And because of that, we ultimately trusted it, not blindly, but enough to invest years into it time, energy, and focus. Believing that at the end of it all, there would be something waiting at the end of the tunnel. Then comes the moment where expectation meets reality. You step into the job market, and at first, you're optimistic. You prepare, you apply, and you show up with intention. But slowly, something starts to feel incredibly off. Responses don't come, opportunities don't connect, effort doesn't translate the way you thought it would. And it's subtle at first, but over time, it becomes impossible to ignore. Because what you're actually interacting with isn't what you expected. You thought you were applying to people, but you're actually not. You're rather just applying to systems, layers of filter, automated decisions, invincible checkpoints, processes that operate faster than literal human thought. And without human context, and once you realize that, everything starts to look very different very quickly. So naturally, you adapt. You try to figure it out. You tweak your resume, adjust your wording, study what ultimately works. And you become more strategic, more calculated, but there's a strange feeling that comes with that because the more you optimize, the less it feels like you. And this is where something deeper really happens. You start shaping yourself based on assumptions, what you think companies want or what you think systems prefer. And slowly, you drift away from authenticity, if I said that correctly. And, not intentionally, but gradually, because you're trying to survive a process that ultimately doesn't clearly explain itself. Then the loop forms. You improve, apply, wait, hear nothing, adjust, repeat. And that just goes over and over and over. And each cycle takes a little bit more energy than the last until eventually it's not just tiring, but rather just draining. Because, it doesn't stay external, it also becomes internal. You start questioning your direction, your decision, your worth, even when, logically, effort is there. That disconnect uh, between what you're doing and what you're receiving, that creates confusion. And here's what most people don't even realize. A lot of people are experiencing this right now, but very quietly. They're not posting about it, they're not announcing it, but they're feeling it, right? Every single day. And because it's not openly talked about, it feels very, very, very isolating, even though it's not. And at the same time, you're exposed to a completely different narrative, one where everything looks like it's working, people moving forward, achieving milestones, and, it creates contrast between what you see and what you feel. And that contrast, it amplifies doubt. But beneath all of this, something bigger is clearly happening. There's clearly a shift in how work functions and how value is created and what skills matter. And it's happening fast too, faster than most systems can even adapt to, which leads to a difficult realization, that is that some of the systems we rely on were ultimately built for a different time, a different pace, and a different world. And while they still exist, they don't operate the same way anymore. So now you're standing at a crossroad here. Do you keep pushing in the same direction, hoping it eventually works? Or do you step back and rethink the entire approach? And because maybe the answer isn't just, persistence, but maybe it's also awareness. Understanding where things, are heading instead of where they used to be, and positioning yourself accordingly. Value is changing. It's no longer just about credentials or checking boxes. It's now about problem solving, adaptability, and creation. The ability, to build something meaningful in a world that basically is constantly evolving. And that requires a shift internally, from where do I fit to what can I create? Or another example is like from who will accept me to what can I offer? And yes, it's incredibly uncomfortable because there's no clear roadmap here, no guarantees, but at the same time, neither is the traditional path anymore. And within that uncertainty, there's also possibility because when structures shift, new opportunities emerge, and it's not always obvious, but available. So maybe the feeling that something is off isn't a problem, but maybe it's awareness. Maybe it's the realization that the environment has changed, and it's time to think differently. No one has this fully figured out, not yet at least, but the more people are starting to notice, starting to question, starting to adapt, and if you felt this too, then you're already paying attention, and that might matter more than anything else right now. So yeah, that's my little message today about job hunting in 2026. It just feels damn near impossible. Please let me know in the comment section below if anyone else could resonate with this, and I'd be more than happy to respond and have some dialogue with you. And just help each other out, however we can emotionally. But yeah, thank you so much for watching today's video and message. I hope, it took something out of it. And yeah, as Cesar would always say, sleep deep, sleep tight, shine bright, and seek the love of the Lord Jesus Christ. Have a good one, friends. See ya.